and,
Okay.
and ready when you are.
Bob, for records on the tapes, we'll know where we're at. If you could just introduce yourself, tell us your title with the Powder River Basin Resource Council, and also explain that you're a rancher in Wyoming as well. If you just do that, please.
Okay, Joe. Yeah, my name's Bob LeResche. I'm currently the chairman of the board of the Powder River Basin Resource Council. And my wife and I own a ranch near Sheridan in a town called Clearmont, where we have a cow, calf, organic vegetable, and hay operation.
Okay, very good. So we're ready to roll? Level's good and everything?
Mhm.
Okay, good enough.
Golden.
Bob, can you tell us a little bit about what the Powder River Basin Resource Council does? Some of its initiatives and so on and so forth, just quickly if you would.
Sure. The council's been in existence for 34 years now. And basically, our members are all small, or mostly small ranchers and farmers. And we're primarily in business to preserve and enhance and develop a sustainable small family agricultural economy in this part of the state.
Okay. Now, Bob, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you questions that have been brought up we've been doing interviews for about 4 months on both sides of the border and on economic development. And I'll be asking you questions that have been asked, that people have asked, and hopefully you can respond to those. There's, Bob, right now there are some farmers and ranchers who say that the Powder River Basin Resource Council does not represent agriculture and that your organization is not grassroots. Can you address that, please?
Well, that's a surprise. I mean, I know our members, and I know myself, and I know what we are. We're certainly a grassroots organization. We don't have much money, and our members are farmers and ranchers.
Okay. I think what they're alluding to is the fact that you receive a lot of financing from outside resources from, for example, foundations and so on and so forth. And if you just want to qualify and say whatever you'd like, respond to that.
Well, we certainly do receive a share of our money from outside foundations. That's where we go for fundraising, as well as to our members.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we're not a grassroots organization. All
Okay.
of us that run the organization are local farmers and ranchers.
Okay. Some farmers and ranchers have said that the Powder River Basin Resource Council is standing in the way of economic development, either in the Montana side or you're trying to stymie development here on the Wyoming side. How do you respond to that?
Well, I respond by saying that's ridiculous. We're not trying to do that at all. We've stated many times strongly and publicly that we're totally in favor of economic development that pays its own way, that doesn't shift the cost to ourselves. And we are. Certainly we enjoy the better schools, the better roads, the things that come with economic development. But we are concerned lest boom-bust economic development leave us with less than we had when it started, and leave our children and grandchildren in severe straits once all the money's gone to Tulsa and elsewhere.
I see. You mentioned yourself that you're a farmer, and you and your wife both own a farm here, and obviously with the extreme drought in Montana and Wyoming, some of the farmers and ranchers have said that they would like to use the water from the coal bed methane development to enhance their cattle operations, for example. And keeping in mind that this water is from the underground, it's natural water, it's not polluted in any sense. It does, however, have some minerals and it does have some sodium content. But they would like to use that water on their farms and ranches, and they can't understand why they're being denied that. Could you address that?
I'm not aware that they are being denied that. We certainly, anyone who wants to use coal bed methane water on his ranch is welcome to. If I'm downstream from him and the coal bed methane water is of a poor quality, enough to kill my alfalfa or drown my trees, I don't want him to run it over my boundary. But he's welcome to use that water. No one's trying to stop that.
Okay. Well, they have so many holding ponds and so many regulations in Wyoming regarding, I think it addresses that problem you just brought up about downstream problems. I mean, if it's on your own, contained on your own property, it's not a problem. Is what you're saying then, basically.
If it remains contained, yeah, that's right.
Have you seen significant damage, I mean, in these operations where coal bed methane water, these ranchers and farmers have used this since the time of the settlers. And I guess, me personally, it's kind of difficult to see, I grew up on a ranch and we use that water all the time. And now it's becoming such a huge issue that this water is causing all these terrible problems. But growing up, I didn't see those problems on our ranch. And, we use the water as it naturally comes out of the ground. So, I mean, how do you respond to that?
Well, there's water and there's water. I mean, the water we're concerned about is that comes from 6, 8, 1,200 feet underground from a coal seam that's pumped up by the methane operators, and which can be highly saline, can kill alfalfa, can create hard pan soil where nothing will grow again. I mean, you remember the old myth about how the Greeks salted the Troy's fields. I mean, that's what this does. There's no doubt about it. But again, there's water and there's water. People, of course, should be able to use water that is not so saline that it's damaging. And they can use damaging water on their place if they want, but please not on mine.
Okay. Some of the farmers and ranchers, and this is more on the Montana side, I should say, but they've looked at Wyoming as kind of the positive things that can happen as a result of managed coal bed methane water and managed coal bed methane development. And they're asking themselves, on the Montana side, why can't we get development? Why can't we get those for our communities? For example, Broadus is a community that's basically dying on the vine. Ekalaka, some of the southeastern communities are dying on the vine because they don't have any economic development. What would your organization say to those groups of people as far as your stance on coal bed methane development?
Well, I have no knowledge of Broadus or Ekalaka. We're for coal bed methane development, as long as it's properly done and the costs are not shifted to third parties, namely ourselves.
Okay.
I mean, the methane industry makes the profit, the state government makes the profit, so certainly industry should be developed in such a way that costs are not shifted onto us.
Okay, fair enough. The next series of questions are based kind of on some of the research that we've done and some of the things that we found out, and it was kind of surprising to us. And, realizing this, I want to preface these questions by saying I can tell that you're someone that cares about the land. You're a landowner here. You're obviously involved in the community, and you have a concern about the land, and that's fully understandable. What I want to do, though, is ask a few questions as far as the Powder River Basin Resource Council has used Earth Justice in a couple of lawsuits that they've done. Now, Earth Justice is obviously the legal arm of Sierra Club, which is very much anti-agriculture. I mean, if you go to their website, they're trying to outlaw grazing on all public lands. They're trying to, obviously, they've sued farmers out of existence in Pennsylvania, Missouri, California, Texas, Arizona, because of dust from their farm operations or from the grazing of their cattle and so on and so forth. Now, you as a farmer and a rancher, how do you respond to that? Based on your organization using this law firm, and do you think there's any hidden initiative that they may have?
Well, no. I mean, if you get a free law firm and you want to file a suit, which is something that you decide what to do, I don't think it matters at all what else that law firm has done. I mean, you look at any law firm who anyone has hired, they might have some unsavory clients. I don't see what the issue is here.
Well, the fact that they're free.
Guilt by association issue, is that what this is?
No, I don't think so. I think it. The reason I'm asking this is because do you think that maybe they're using your organization to advance maybe one of their agendas? I mean, if you deny economic development to farmers and ranchers, a lot of these people will go under. And,
well, now what you're saying, we've denied economic development to farmers and ranchers. I thought we just talked about that.
I'm saying some of the lawsuits have denied that to them.
Which ones?
There's a series of lawsuits on the Montana side, basically saying that they're not going to allow coal bed methane development because of all the issues raised by environmental